Hey there, I am Harmony, part of the DJ rBeatz experience, right here on hashtag local music somewhere.
Hey everyone, rBeatz here, DJ Dang Funky, Scott Silverstein. We have a special guest today. BK Jackson is an international performing saxophonist. He's electrified audiences across the globe with his unique style, energetic stage presence, unparalleled passion for music and soulful interpretations. A native of Tampa, Florida, BK spent 4 years touring with Prince, performing sold-out arenas night after night. He's played with Trombone Shorty, just an amazing list of artists. Anita Baker. Welcome, Mr. BK Jackson, to rBeatz. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us and sharing your passion, your vision, and your music and your story. And
appreciate it.
Tell us about BK, your story, how you started, everything.
Absolutely. No, for sure. So I started playing the saxophone when I was 11 years old, man. I grew up as a preacher's kid. I enjoyed going to church because as long as I had a good seat to see the drummer, then that's all I needed. And when you're a preacher's kid, you really go to church all the time. It was like Sunday night, maybe not Monday, but Tuesday for Bible study, Wednesday, midweek service, Thursday for choir rehearsal or some sort of dance practice or whatever it was. Saturday was youth day. And then, Sunday, you're right back at it to start it all over again. So I spent a lot of time in church, but that's really where I fell in love with music overall. Mm-hmm. And just wanting to see those drums until I got into the 6th grade. I wanted to learn how to play the drums. Unfortunately, they only offered like the bass drum or the snare drum or the cymbals, nothing that was actually the set that I saw at church. So I went home and asked my mom what instrument I should play. And by this time, my biological father, who was a pastor, he had transitioned and passed. And my stepdad, who really raised me, and I never felt like a stepchild ever in that house. I got a chance to see him court my mom. And he used jazz to court my mom.
Wow.
And so all these CDs that I would listen to, because whenever he bought a jazz CD, he bought one for her. And the same thing, us growing up. So once they finally got married, we would listen to the jazz station all the time. So I had heard of the saxophone. I didn't know what I was listening to was a saxophone. And when I asked my mom, what instrument should I play? I don't want to just play the snare drum or a xylophone or anything like that. She was like, play the saxophone. So I asked her, what was that? She said, the thing that we hear on the radio all the time. I was like, okay.
It is the coolest instrument, come on.
I think she was being extremely biased, but it worked for sure. and I'll say this, man, I laid eyes on the saxophone. I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to master such an incredible instrument. And honestly, I'm still trying to master it each and every day. But I fell in love with that instrument so much so when I took that saxophone home for the first time, I forgot how to put it together. So I just stared at it for hours until I got to school and had my teacher teach me how to put it back together.
Wow.
And that was my journey to the saxophone at 11 years old.
That's nice. So who, saxophone players, who's your list? Who's on the list for you?
I think if we're talking genres, because I've studied straight ahead and I'm such a fan of smooth jazz that, I can go both ways. When it comes to straight ahead, I tell everybody, all of my favorite saxophone players have played for Miles Davis. That's from John Coltrane to Cannonball Adderley, even down to more of the later saxophone player and one of my favorites, Kenny Garrett, on the straight ahead side. Mm-hmm. If we're talking smooth jazz, which is, one of my loves as well, then, I really, really, really got my my ambition, my energy, and my drive to do this music from the first time I ever saw Eric Darius play the saxophone. We're
Nice.
both from Tampa, Florida. I was 11 years old, and he was headlining a festival right around 19, 20 years old. And I
Okay.
remember seeing him and watching him made it real. But before him, you know, like I said, my pops was courting my mom, so he bought those concert tickets. And when they couldn't find a babysitter, me and my sister had to roll too. So it gave me an opportunity to see the Dave Codds, gave me an opportunity to see the Gerald Albrights, who by far is at the very top of my list, right there with Kirk Whalum, the
Yes.
Huge Grooves, the Richard Elliots, the Boney James, and I saw all of these different saxophone players, and they real everybody really does influence me in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. It's amazing with artists. You can take a little bit of everything and
Yeah.
make your own gumbo, you know?
My teacher told me that he said good artists borrow, but great artists steal.
Ooh.
In other words,
Yeah.
we're listening, and we're being inspired by so many things, and we're taking that and putting it into our own every time that we grab the instrument.
Wow. Well, I got to interject one thing real quick. The things you just said. I had a experience back in 1990. I got to see Miles Davis play live, and Kenny was on sax. And it was so wild. After every solo, Miles didn't talk. He would whisper, and he'd hold up a sign with the artist's name. So after Kenny would jam, he'd hold up a sign that said Kenny right over his head. And it was just so wild seeing that and that experience. And that's what you said. When you're around that kind of jazz music, it's royalty. Yeah. It's high elevation, and
Absolutely.
It's majestic, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. So growing up, how did you transition from church to your sound? How did that change?
Man, you know, I never actually transitioned. It just became a part of the sound. You know, when we're talking about some of the greatest artists, they all came from church.
Yes.
I'm talking everybody from Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
Even Dog talks about going to church as a young kid, and you really pull from that, where that inspiration and that just that drive it comes from. A lot of times, you know, you think about the Whitney Houstons, and one of my favorite, I said earlier, is Kirk Whalum, who has a couple of incredible jazz gospel albums out. You really just pull from all of those sounds, and it becomes a part of you. So when people talk about the passion, when people talk about, you know, that energy and that just something, you got that, what they're really talking about is the gift that was given to me by God. And I just try to exude it the best that I can. But that starts at the front of my inspiration. The church music was infused with blues. That's the first time I learned the blues scale. Wasn't even playing jazz, it was playing gospel music. And so, you know, those sounds and those tones are such a big part of my playing, that even, you know, in the happiest of major keys, I'll throw a blues lick in there.
Nice.
And they're like, that's church. That's church. It feels good, you know, and that's what I put at the forefront.
It's magic.
And I started playing in church, playing at different churches for their after service events, whether it was a youth day at this church or a pastor anniversary or a church anniversary. That's really how I got my start before I even got into clubs. And how I got into clubs was I was playing at a church jazz festival. And this guy comes up to me, and Mike MacArthur, incredible sax player. I didn't know that he was booking for the jazz club that the radio station was hosting every Thursday night. So he came up to me. I was in high school. I was 14 years old. It was the summer I was turning 15. I'll never forget it. And he says, "Hey man, you sound good." He said, "You know, do you have like 3 hours worth of music?" Now, I just did a 30-minute set with 4 of my friends from my class that were in my band, and we played the 6 songs that we knew collectively. And that was it. So when he asked me if I had 3 hours worth of music and told me that he was booking for Dino's and it was hosted by WSJT, I did the only thing that any aspiring jazz musician would do. I lied. I said, yeah, I got 3 hours worth of music for sure. And I didn't. I had 6 songs. That was it. So he said, all right, I'll call you. I've got some slots open in September. This was July. And so from July to September, I got a new band because it was going to be kind of difficult to get all of my classmates' parents to allow them to come play this jazz club from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning, but on a school night at that. So I got older musicians and I buckled down and I learned about 30, 35 songs to fill that time in that space. And that was my transition from just playing, the gospel music into more of, the jazz and the smooth jazz and R&B.
Mm. So then here's an interesting question I want to ask. What is jazz?
Man, you know what? I think that is the next eternal question next to what is hip.
I know.
Yeah, you never. It's at this point, it's up for so much interpretation. I will say that jazz has to have a couple of things, right? For the first and foremost, I think jazz is a conversation. Is music in general is a conversation. However, jazz is composing in the moment. The number one thing that jazz must have is improvisation. And that's what separates you going to 3 shows of seeing your favorite artist back to back to back and still walking away like, man, each show was a little different because every solo that they take or even the inflections and nuance and how they even give those songs is up for the interpretation of the moment, which is driven by the energy in the room. So you can't reproduce this ever, mistakes and all. It's
so
all a part of the authentic experience, and
the power of now. Yeah,
woo, exactly.
That's
exactly.
it.
And that's what. If anything, I think that's what it is. If you ask me again, I would tell you you're right. The power of now. That is what jazz is.
I love it. I'm a DJ, and that's the music I play.
Yeah.
And I love jazz because words can confuse people, misinterpret things. Music, you feel right here, and there's no misinterpretation. You get goosebumps and feel it.
I tell people all the time, I'll never be more honest than I am with the saxophone in my mouth. Like it is the words that I can't find when I'm at the height of my emotion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's power.
Yeah.
Wow. That's deep. Very deep. So how did you get hooked up with Prince?
Wow. That was actually, God, to be honest with you. I was at the Seabreeze Jazz Festival, and a colleague at that time was Marcus Anderson, who was also at the festival. And we had become friends over an industry friend about a year before that. And so seeing him at the festival was cool. A lot of small talk. I didn't know him that well, but he gets a call in the middle of our conversation. I remember him walking away and coming back, and he got that call. He came back and he said, "Hey man, if I tell you something, you can't tell nobody." And I'm like, okay. He said, "Man, I think I'm gonna play for Prince." And he told me he had just got a call that Prince was looking for, a horn player. And I remember at the moment I was happy for him. And I was thinking in my head, like, I want to play for Prince. And I never said anything. But about 2-3 weeks later, he called back and said, "Hey, so remember I got that call for Prince?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, he's really looking for a young horn section that can dance and move. Would you be interested in joining?" And I immediately said yes. Now, mind you, at this time, I'm 21. I'm 20 at this time. And I am a sophomore in college, in the middle of my college, my college tenure. And I'm really just trying to figure out what my next steps are going to be. I grew up in an extremely education-driven household, so I don't even know how I'm going to tell my mom that, I'm going to try and do this at the same time, which was a whole thing in its right. And I grew up in a Michael house, so I didn't really know a lot of Prince songs, so it was just like, it seems cool. I got a friend and homie that's on the gig. I want to go kick it with the big kids. So let's just see what's up. And I remember getting out there, we auditioned, and then he flew it up by video, and then he flew us out. And I just remember being there for the first time and really kind of getting an understanding of, oh, this is another path. Because when you're going through this music industry, there is no, let's say if I want to be a doctor, I know I have to go to school, pre-med, then I go to med school, then I go to residencies, then fellowships, and then eventually I get to doctors. In this music industry, there is no blueprint. Mm-hmm. You don't just get a music degree and then become this overnight sensation or something like that. And because there's no blueprint, there's so many different paths that people take. And along that journey, you're really just figuring it out step by step, to be honest. And so when I was out there with Prince, it was an opportunity for me to see another path to where it was that I ultimately wanted to be, which was a solo artist. So during my entire time with him, I learned from that perspective. Why does he do what he does? How does he dress? How does he articulate himself? You know, what is the mystique of the mystery that surrounds him, and how does he use that to his advantage? What venues are we playing? What venues are we not playing? Literally everything. How does he move? How does he shake? You know, from the business side. And when you get close to somebody like that, you definitely have to take advantage of that knowledge. And I just tried to grab as much as I could while I was there. And little did I know I was spending the best 4 years of my life side by side and working for
masterclass
who was literally living the last 4 years of his life.
Ooh,
and so it was one of those things that I take to heart, and a journey that I definitely do not take for granted. I'm so thankful that I was able to go on.
All the Prince shows I ever caught were just energetic. Like, how did you stay in shape for that? Like, he brings it, everything, you know. There's just like church, you can't, there's no half measures. You bring it all.
That's it. It's such a feeling. I mean, you know, it's not hard, to be honest with you, because you're playing with some of the most incredible musicians from all over the world. This is basically an all-star band of people that I've looked up to in this industry for years. Like, I'm getting there, and I'm not just starstruck by Prince. I'm starstruck by Andrew Goucher or John Blackwell, Cassandra O'Neill, you know, Mike Scott. Like, these are people that I've seen play with some of everybody from Gladys Knight to Justin Timberlake and Pink and everybody in between. And so it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know you were playing here. I didn't know you were doing this gig. And so, you know, when these musicians start playing, you get lost. There's a couple of times I probably missed the entrance or two, just groove into the music, because it feels that good. And at the hem of that is Prince literally driving the bus and directing us in the direction that we should go. And I kid you not, he is probably definitely the most influential musician that I have ever been around.
Wow.
Yeah. Couple people come close to him, but nobody is Prince.
Yeah. The Madhouse records are really magical. Those jazz records he did too. I mean, Prince could do everything. Yeah.
And that's what made him so special. He would go through eras and go through, you know, just when I was there, it was right before the Third Eye Girl era. So we were leaving that funk, going into the rock, and then blending the two. And then, you know, we still did some of the jazz stuff as well in that. And it's just, I mean, it's hard to, this guy is incredible.
Wow. Like, what an experience really you had. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Next level. The guitar playing, just everything. He's probably one of the greatest guitar players of all time.
No, absolutely. And I think what's crazy is that even past his guitar, he literally can play everything. My first night there, we got there at like 12 noon, and now it's 12 midnight. and we're finally done. And, you know, he makes the band vote on whether or not we can come back tomorrow. So the band votes us in. All right. So we're like, all right, part of a little initiation. And so we're going to get ready to leave because we're coming in at 12 the next day. And right before we leave, he's like, is anybody up for a game of ping pong? And I was like, oh, I got to see this because I got a ping pong table at the house. So I'm thinking I'm about to come run through here. No. I don't know if you heard like the Jimmy Kimmel stories of Prince and ping pong.
Oh,
but
no. I just know the basketball stories. Yeah.
No. He could represent the U.S. in the Olympics. Like,
really?
That cold. Tricks and everything. I mean, he's throwing the ball up behind his back, spiking it down.
And dressed like he's dressed and he can play like that?
Very comfortable. He didn't have
he's
like
the man.
All like the fringes and stuff like
and the boots, and he's like killing it. Yeah,
very comfortable, but still in the platforms for sure.
Really? Wow, that takes skill. That's skill. Yeah,
he's not moving. He's making you move. He's that good.
Wow,
like,
he's that. He's zen.
Yeah,
like
and so,
wow, Bruce Lee.
He sets up this like single elimination tournament, and the winner got to play him. And our trombone player actually won, and he worked him for the entire game. But now it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and he's asking, okay, he leaves and comes back like 10, 15 minutes later and says, you know, do you guys want to jam? And now I'm tired because I'm like, I really just want to go to sleep. So
do you just played a tournament and you want to jam now?
Yeah.
Wow, that's like, some energy.
Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yes. No, I don't want to jam. I want to go to sleep. But in walks Larry Graham, and I have no idea at this point who Larry Graham is. Like I said, I'm 21. I know of Sly. I don't know specifically of Larry Graham, and I haven't really been exposed to the Central Station.
That's some funk. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what I do know is this smooth-dressed brother and his wife just walked in here in all white. He's got the cap with the feather in the side, and he's not really walking. He's like gliding.
He's gliding. That's like how it works.
Smoothest cat I ever seen in my life.
Nice.
And so we get on stage, and I'm like, oh, this is some charity thing that Prince is doing. Like, he's got like an older fan or something like that. That must be. I'm thinking like, cool. Larry Graham puts the cable into the bass amp and literally goes, and I'm like, oh, this is charity. I'm the charity. I'm the charity. Got it.
Wow.
Because who is this guy? Unbeknownst to me, Larry Graham is the creator of what streetwise we call slap bass, but thump bass, and is the sound that is staple and iconic for every bass player in funk music. And it was 2 more hours of Prince, like going back to him playing everything, starting on keyboards, playing bass with Larry Graham, going to the drums, and then ending on guitar. A 2-hour jam session, and we were playing everything from Tower Power to some of the Graham Central Station stuff, and just like hit after hit after hit. And it was a furthermore of an audition for us because he kept asking, so what horn songs do you guys know? Stevie. I mean, we were going through everything that we could think of, and it was phenomenal.
Wow.
That was my first night at Paisley Park. That's how it started.
That's your first night at Paisley Park.
That was night 1.
So when's the book? When's the book going to come out? This needs to be a book.
You know, and some people always tell me, I don't know if I'll get to a book, but maybe one day I might write like a foreword or something like that, that really gets into it. And maybe that will turn into a book. But it's so many stories just
That's so
being
magic.
in the yeah. I remember the majority of them. And for the ones I forget, I still got my buddies that I'm very close to from that time that I can call and fill in the pieces.
So you toured with Prince for 4 years, and all over. Where's some of your favorite places you played?
Man, that was the first time I ever performed overseas. Was Montreux Jazz Festival.
Wow.
We did 3 nights Montreux Jazz Festival. I want to say that was 2012, 2011. It's on YouTube. All the concerts. And that was the introduction for Third Eye Girl, that concert as well. My first concert with Prince was the United Center. And I'll never forget that because I remember just walking out like, in my mind, like, this is where Michael Jordan played.
Yeah, Michael's house. Yeah.
I just remember like looking up like, oh my God.
You hear that little
yeah,
and
like,
now the Bulls.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, wow, like I'm really here. And I think those two were definitely the two standouts. But we played George Lucas's wedding reception.
Really?
Yeah, you know, so
what was that like? Was Chewbacca there? C3PO?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, did you play the Cantina song?
It was hard to play with Darth Vader just breathing over me the whole time.
That's a cool gig right there, though. But
no, the room was who's who. The room was literally who's who in Chicago, and it was incredible. And those were some of the great, like I said, great moments that I got a chance to really kick it with Prince and play with him. And all those shows ended with after parties, and the after parties, like I don't know what time we got off stage with George Lucas, but I do know we started our after party at the City Winery in Chicago at 1 a.m. and we finished at 5 a.m.
Nice.
We played clubs in New York, and it's like 4 o'clock. And Prince is saying, "Are y'all tired yet?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Yo, y'all gotta chill," because I know what he's about to say next, and it's so true. He's like, "We'll be here all night. Y'all know how many hits I got?" And there were times we were playing, and the sun is coming up in the back of the club. You could see it coming up through like the windows that were tinted in the back of the club. And I'm like looking at my watch, like, yo, it's 7 o'clock. Why are we still here? You know, and that's, man, that's, and when he's in it, he's in it. And that's where it's at.
I love it. I have to tell you a quick Prince story. I grew up, my father had a clothing store, and he always had some posters in the dressing room. And there was a poster of a man getting out of a shower. And I asked my dad, I'm like, why you have this poster up, this man getting out of the shower? It was from the first Prince record. It's the poster of Prince getting out of a hot shower. If you got the first record, that's it. That comes with a poster. And my pops had the poster in the dressing room, and that's Prince. So I was like, yeah. I was like, he started out with he did it different, you know?
Yeah.
And what a blessing and experience.
He could do that though, right? Like, it's like, only Prince could get away with that.
Yeah. Small guy like that with all that energy, all that power.
No. The manliest of men will tell you how incredible Prince is.
Have you seen the video of him as a kid on the streets in Minneapolis, and he's being interviewed, and he says it's a fascinating interview. It's on YouTube, how he's saying how he's going to be famous one day. And it's Prince is like 10 or 11, and you can just see it in his eyes, the confidence. You know it. Man, it's special watching it. You have to beat that.
He's probably physically the shortest person in the room, but there was never a room he was in that he wasn't the tallest person in the room. The aura, the energy. I've seen celebrities, like super A-list celebrities, melt over this guy. And I'm like, but you're you. Like, you're still you. Like, it's like, nah, but that's Prince. Like,
how do you keep BK when you're around all that type of energy? Like, is it just easy to get lost? How do you stay true to you?
You know, I don't generally get starstruck. I've only been starstruck once, and it wasn't even from Prince. It's actually from Usher.
Nice.
But when I know I'm about to be into a room, I just remember my mom always told me whenever we would go to a store or she knew I was going somewhere that I hadn't necessarily been before, but I would get really excited and probably lose my head to be at. Her thing to me always, when we get in here, you better act like you've been somewhere before. And so I took on that mantra even around him. It's like, hey, you know, you're Prince. You're absolutely Prince. And you have every right to be Prince, but you called me for a reason. And you called me because I'm BK.
Valid.
And I'm here because I'm BK. And my validation is that I'm already here, which makes me in my right, you know, a stample and a solid piece, I should say, as a part of this. And and that's all I need. All I need to feel comfortable and just being where I'm at.
All that amazing energy around you to mold, guide, influence.
Yeah.
You know, it's a masterclass. That's really Amazing. Amazing.
I tell everybody, I got my undergrad at Florida A&M University, but I got my graduate degree from Paisley University.
Mm. Were you in the band? Were you in the band?
I did not march.
Okay.
I was recruited to do jazz, which is what I did while I was there, and then eventually got switched over to the music industry and entertainment degree, which allowed me to take business classes as well. We have a prestigious
that's amazing school. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so I was able to grab some knowledge from there that I literally use today, and so I'm thankful for that opportunity. But yep, they recruited me to do jazz, strictly jazz, and I'm thankful because that marching band was a lot of work.
It's amazing watching those guys. That's wow.
No, shout out to the Marching 100.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, that is brilliant. Yeah. Well, BK, we're going to take a quick break. A word from our sponsors, and hold tight. We're having fun here rapping, and we'll be right back.
Calling all independent musicians, ready to elevate your sound? At rBeatz Radio, we're poised to turn up the volume on your ambition. Submit your tracks today, and here's the reason why. With rBeatz, you're not simply uploading, you're broadcasting your unique resonance to a global audience. Put your hesitations aside. We're offering you the golden opportunity to have your music reviewed and aired on our radio station, absolutely free of charge. You've pondered, perhaps even sampled the others. Now it's time to experiment with the finest. At rBeatz, we're dedicated to you. We're not just a platform, we're your spotlight, and your music merits the stage. Share your social handles, and as soon as your music goes live on rBeatz, you'll be the first to know. We're not just spinning tracks, we're cultivating a vibrant community of artists and aficionados who revel in distinctive soundscapes. rBeatz Radio, the stage where your music receives the applause it's worthy of. Submit your music today and transform your sound into a sensation. In essence, rBeatz your music.
We're back at rBeatz. Scott Silverstein, DJ Dang Funky, along with BK Jackson. Hello, sir.
What's up, baby?
So what's it like now? We were talking about Prince before, but we're going to talk about some of the other artists you played with. What's it like with Trombone Shorty, that New Orleans sound?
Man, I met Trombone Shorty while I was with Prince. One of the first songs that we learned featured a song that had Maceo Parker and Trombone Shorty on it. And we went to go do Jimmy Kimmel. That was the first day that I actually got a chance to meet Trombone Shorty, which I had already heard about because I had done a commercial for BET back in the day for, I believe it was their Black Music Month, where they highlighted upcoming musicians as a part of basically just a kind of like a PSA that they would put onto BET as a PSA where it gave us exposure in front of, a national audience. And the year before I got the call, they did Trombone Shorty. So while they were explaining what they were going to do with me, they sent me his tape of what they did with him. And that was my first introduction to, who Trombone Shorty is. And, fast forward a couple of years, now I'm with Prince, he's there. And, we were cool, kind of cordial, like you said, just keep a level head. Hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. Kind of stay out the way. And he came back when we did Essence Festival. Prince brought him on, and we kind of stay kind of cool a little bit more now. I've seen you before, so nothing subtle, nothing too much, left or right. Really cool cat. And I was in Tampa at a time that he was doing a festival, and so I reached out to him and said, "Hey, BK with Prince, just wanted to drop in and say hey after the show if that's cool, no biggie if not." He was like, "Nah, come in." So, we're in Tampa, and it's a festival that I know and have played plenty of times, and I get backstage, but I'm like, yo, you're in Tampa and you're not that much older than me. Yo, you want to go out? Like, what do you want to do? You want to get some food? You look for anything? So I'm like, you're in my city. I'll show you love. What are you trying to do? And he said, no, I'm good, but I guess something about the energy in which I presented myself to him. I was like, I'm gonna give you a call. And so at that point, Prince had kind of put us on ice for a little while he was figuring out, what his next moves were. So I had some time available, and he asked me if I wanted to go on road with him to do a couple of dates while he was trying to figure out the tenor sax position in his band. Nice. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'll just go out there and do it, man. I had so much fun. So much fun. It was such a lesson. Those early shows were naturally fun, but it was very hard at the same time because everybody in the band is from New Orleans. So there's a whole nother dialect,
Mm-hmm.
that musical dialect, that I don't really know how to, you really think you know how to play New Orleans music until you're playing New Orleans music with people from New Orleans. It's different. You cooking Alfredo at home and you getting a nice pasta in Italy are two different things.
True that.
You know what I mean? And so, that's what it felt like. I felt very much like I was making Alfredo at home. And so I really had to dig in and learn, the musical intricacies of that dialect of music.
I know.
And
It's
I got it
fascinating.
from one of the greatest to ever do it.
Mhm.
So it was having that, and was another education in itself. The New Orleans, to start the mecca of what we have. Jazz is the first thing that America has owned, because everything was imported from other places. As far as like America, the United States, that is the first entity that we had to contribute to the world. And it started in New Orleans. So I'm getting this history from somebody who really is a historian in his own right. He's got all the stories from the greats to the brass bands, and everybody in between, even the legends today who don't necessarily go out and flaunt that they're from New Orleans. He's like, yeah, he's from New Orleans. He's from New Orleans. She's from New Orleans. And I'm like, really? Say, yeah, man, they used to stay right here, right there. And so getting a chance to really get that history and get that knowledge from somebody who still lives there today. He never moved. He is New Orleans through and through. And I didn't realize how connected he was. But because I was with him, he took me summer everywhere. Got a chance to play with Lenny Kravitz, got a chance to play with Usher, and Jill Scott, so many other artists that I really looked up to, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Foo Fighters, Zac Brown Band. I mean, just in all these different genres. And then some of the jazz greats that I've loved as well. And so being with him was, oh man, it was another experience that I'll never forget. And it wasn't necessarily just the times that we spent, on the bandstand. We really had, a great, and still have a great friendship, open communication, where I really could ask him anything. He played on my record. He showed up to my gigs, and really have supported me throughout my career.
Wow.
And so it's always in nothing but love. For Trombone Shorty and the experience that I was able to get while I was there.
But BK, let me go back to that, what you just said, which is fascinating. How it's a testament to your skill that you can go from one genre to another like that. Like Zac Brown is completely different than what you were just gigging.
Yeah.
How do you
absolutely.
transition like that? What is that process?
It all comes
Is
back
that
to
meditation?
Church, it all comes back to church. It's crazy when I think about all these places. What I didn't realize is how much the blues and funk music really does affect other people's genres. You would think that it may not be there, but I remember when I was working on my second record, I spent an entire week of my college spring break with James Lloyd from Pieces of a Dream. James Lloyd is an incredible pianist, and I stayed in his home, his guest bedroom, and he was like, hey, we would be up late nights in his studio just talking, and he would tell me about all of these stories, because Pieces of a Dream became the backing band for Grover Washington Jr. when they were just 15, 16, 17 years old. So he's giving me all of these stories and all of these insights. And when we're done talking, he's like, yo, let's go play Rock Band. Rock Band had just came out on like PlayStation. And so we would go there, and he's like, man, you got to listen to these funk tunes. So his favorite song on there was Give It Away by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
And so I knew the song, but I hadn't really realized how funky this stuff really is.
They're slapping the bass.
So, Yeah. And so you're thinking it's just rock, but it's funk.
It's
And
fun.
funk comes from the church. It all lends itself right back to the church. And then fast forward, to years later where we get a chance to open up for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and
Wow.
Fleet is warming up on the side on bass. But we're having a conversation while he's warming up about Oliver Nelson's Stolen Moments album.
No
And
way.
it's like,
Nice.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And it caught me so far off guard that I didn't know. And so when you ask like how, it's because all of this music is so infused into all of these other genres in ways that the average person would not ever know. Because it's not like Fleet's just walking around saying, I do this or I do that, or I love this, I love that. He's out usually promoting, the Red Hot Chili Peppers music. But
And he's got a
having
jazz
and getting
record.
an opportunity. Yeah, now. And so everybody's like, where'd this come from? And I'm like, oh, I know exactly where it came from. I spent 3 months with this guy on the road. I know exactly where this comes from.
So would you guys
It's
riff?
so dope that
You guys would,
we never got a chance to jam. We did play on stage.
yeah.
We never
Yeah.
got a chance to actually jam, side by side. Hopefully, that comes in the future for sure.
Yeah.
But just being there and just kind of getting a chance to talk, and those guys were so gracious. As openers, you talk to stay out the way, talk to never come around. But those guys are like, yo, where are you guys? Like, where y'all at? Like, why don't y'all come? Well, we trying to give you a space, Nah, man, we out here together. And it really felt good to be out on the road with those guys. They're incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then Anita Baker.
Oh.
Yeah, she's special.
Oh. That was the heaviest gig I've ever done in my life. Man, it was so heavy. It was so filling. Have you ever overate? And that feeling that you get, like where you just have to sit down and you can't move. That's how I felt after my first concert with Anita Baker.
Wow.
It was like, it was so much. It was just that I had to sit down and really just take in like what just happened, because I walked in with no rehearsal. I had like an impromptu kind of meeting with the music director, but I had really no direction. When I got there, everything that I had rehearsed, she told me not to do. So I was really trying to figure this out, literally like on the job, and trying not to get fired simultaneously, which, was a dance in itself. But her music, watching people sing her songs, like I've seen fans sing songs, I've seen that with Prince, got it. But like,
And the
when
emotion.
you sing Anita Baker music, it's a different level. And I told her at the end of that first gig, she called the band, she walked off stage, curtain comes down, and she met us behind the drum riser. And she was just kind of talking a little bit through before we get undressed and do our band powwow in her dressing room after the show. And I said, look, Miss Baker, I hope I'm not over speaking or stepping out of turn, but this was heavy. Like, this was heavy. And I realized that people don't just sing your song because they like it or because it's got great lyrics. You're the soundtrack to these people's lives. And I can see it. Like, I can see the bad breakup that, comes over them when they sing. And they might be next to their husband of 15, 20, 30 years. But that one song that when you sing this song, it takes them back right before that.
Yeah. She's magic.
And she's got the songs for that. I tell people in the show, I'm like, she's got songs that literally taught women how to apologize. Now only men heard that song, but it's a great song. And it's just she deals with real life. And what I didn't realize before I got the gig is that she's a jazz artist. She doesn't sing any song same way. The music will sound like the album, with a couple hits and embellishments to make it live, but her approach to those songs, very jazz.
Wow. Yeah.
Very jazz-esque. And so, musically dancing with her was a lesson for me that I'll never forget. I might as well have been behind like a Ella Fitzgerald or somebody like that, because that's the magnitude in which, she had her craft down pat.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. And what
For sure.
elevation. Like, once again, no half measures. You got to bring it.
Nah. Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible. To this day, one of the most fulfilling gigs. It was a gig I didn't know I needed.
Wow. And just an experience. It's like, it's a King's Court, Queen's Court, royalty defined what you've done. Wow.
No, absolutely. And for that tour, Babyface was opening up for us. So, it's just like, legend after legend, just watching and being around. It, I had a blast.
Wow.
A blast.
Wow. Tell us about Colors.
Man. So about a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to sign a record deal with Trippin' and Rhythm Records. And, I told you I got a chance to see my father court my mom. And early on, when we would go to those shows, one of the shows that we would go to annually was the Guitars and Saxes concert, which featured, early on Peter White, Chuck Loeb, I think Rick Braun, Richard Elliott. I've seen Gerald Albright on there. I've seen Norman Brown on there. I've seen Kirk Whalum on there, Mindy Abair on there, and so many other musicians that were on there. I'm almost certain Nick Colion was on there at one time. And so, watching these guys perform, when I got signed to the label, I looked at the roster and I'm like, there's a lot of young talent on here. It'd be great to get together and, do something, and maybe we do a festival together. And, I called the label, and Jeff London said, hey, Jeff, what do you think about this? And he was like, yo, you guys should do a record together and it'll be incredible. So we got together, we did 4 songs together, and the leading single from, those songs was Colors. And I remember the first time I heard it was written by Ryan LaVallette. So we grabbed Lamech, who had already had number ones under his belt, Adrian Crutchfield, who has his second number one just now, and Ryan LaVallette, who has close to, if not more than 20 number ones under his belt as well. So I strategically put myself with movers and shakers so I can get noticed. And we came together with Ryan LaVallette playing piccolo bass, Lamech playing guitar, Adrian on sax, and myself on sax. It really was to recreate the guitars and saxes that I grew up listening to as a child. That was my whole approach to this. And what came out of it was Colors, which felt so Stevie Wonder-esque to me. It reminds me of that same feel of Stevie Wonder Ass. And
that's gospel.
Just that.
That's a gospel track, isn't it?
We can't leave the church. I'm telling you, we just keep coming back to the church.
It's a good place.
Try to do it.
It's a good place.
It's a great place to be. And just getting all of that, getting that music from him, we recorded it and we put it out. And Lord and behold, it's my first number one as an artist.
Congratulations!
It came with a compilation. Thank you. It came with a compilation of 3 of my great industry friends, and we still talk to this day. We've got some other great music that hopefully comes out a little later. And I mean, that was such a great time. These guys are hilarious. Ryan's incredible. From there, we were able to work together on my album for a song as well. I grabbed Lamech, put him on a song on my album as well. And Adrian's my brother from Prince, so that's one of my best friends to this day, and we talk weekly. So that's my guy, and I'm just thankful that we were able to come together for that moment, and hopefully we can do some more things in the future.
So speaking of that, what does the future hold for BK? What do you want to do in the future?
Well, I feel like I've done it all for everybody else. I really want to grab all the knowledge that I learned from Prince, from Trombone Shorty, from Anita, from CeeLo, from Juvenile, from Usher, from Bruno Mars, from Jill Scott, from the Foo Fighters, the Zac Browns, and everything, even down to, sitting down at 15 with B.B. King for 2-3 hours and listening to him tell stories and give advice. And I really just want to grab all of that knowledge and pour it back into my career. I started out as a solo artist and then kind of worked my way into a side man when it came to Prince, and then the calls just kept coming. But now, I'm putting the phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm concentrating 100% on my solo career. And I'm really excited, with the record that I have that is actually going to radio today. So I'm really excited about sharing that. And it's called Sundress Season. I get a chance to work with one of my brothers. His name's Nicholas Cole, an incredible producer, an incredible pianist as well. And, we've been friends for over a decade. And I remember the person that actually introduced me to his music and everything was Brian Coberson. And Brian said, man, the two of you guys really need to get together. I said, okay. And it's been year after year, and the timing hasn't always been right. But on my last project, I was able to get him as a feature because he was too busy to produce a song. But literally, I had finished my album and I was getting ready to turn it into the label when I got a call from the label saying, hey, we got this record from Nick, and we really want you to listen to it and to see if you could write something to it and something for it. I think it's a banger. I said, all right, I'll listen to it. We'll just see what happens. And they were right. It was a banger. The music had so much energy to it. It had a little bit of that church feel. It brought everything and everything of who I am to the forefront. My love for pop music, my love for smooth jazz, my love for jazz, funk, and everything really into one song. And when I heard it, I wrote the verse immediately. Like first listen, it came right there, boom, back to back. And, I was able to collaborate with him on the chorus, and I wrote the pre-hook and the bridge, and I turned it into the label. And, usually when you text somebody, they usually just text you back. Nah, they called back. It was like, this is it. This is it. You guys nailed it. And so I'm really excited to share this with the world.
This
it was
is a
the
good
last
track.
song I recorded, but it's the first single off my brand new record that's going to be coming out next year. And this song is called Sundress Season, because what's better than a woman in a sundress?
Well, we're lucky today. We're going to share it with everyone. We're going to world premiere this hot track that you just laid out, and it's beautiful. It's got all the essence to it, and it is. We all need to get our sundress on, get that sun, be part of the light. And
while we still got the sun out, right?
Yeah. But it's BK, once again, that sun, it's the energy. You drew all these people to you. They came to you for a reason. And that's it. We got to draw that energy to us, all that positivity, because it's out there, Your story is one of beautiful power, love, faith, commitment, work, hard work. Those are the ingredients for success. And I salute you. So I just want to introduce, how do we introduce Sundress? What would you like to tell us before we world premiere this? What you gave just a great little
man. This is just the debut record for actually my world premiere of my debut solo record with the brand new label that I signed to, Trippin' in Rhythm, first time as a signed artist. And I'm so excited because like I said, I get a chance to collaborate with my brother, Nicholas Cole, an incredible musician and friend. And I think we put together something that you could play at the barbecue, you could play at the wedding, you could play you're listening and getting ready before you go out. You could play on your way to the club, put it in after the club. You could throw it on at the club. It's a song that really just kind of fits everywhere. And it's a song for Auntie. It's a song for the OGs. And it's also a song for, all the younger generations as well to enjoy it, because I really did pull something from every generation so that everybody can hear themselves in this track.
It's about dancing in the light, being in the light.
Yeah,
well,
baby.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it right now. debut new single, Sundress Season. You heard it first on rBeatz. That was a nice track.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Positive, beautiful, just like you, BK. Thank you. We really enjoy your energy, your magic, and your story, and just man, just keep vibing, keep reaching for all those stars, and doing what you're doing because it's beautiful. So positive.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. It's an honor listening to you, and thank you, rBeatz, for giving us the space to talk, to share all these amazing stories, all this music that
Absolutely.
just needs to be heard. And Trippin' in Rhythm, your label, and go support BK. What's the next show? What's the next gig?
Man, actually, this weekend I am in Charlotte. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, we like to say Charlotte, North Kakalaki.
Oh, yes, we do.
I'll be at the legendary jazz club down there, Middle C Jazz.
Middle C,
I'm really
yes,
excited.
sir.
So we'll be doing 2 shows on Saturday. I believe it's the August 15th, Saturday at 6 p.m. and 8:30 p.m.
Fantastic.
So there are a couple tickets left. If you're listening, man, make sure you come hang out with your boy. We're going to have a good time. You'll get a chance to experience that single live for the first time as well. And a great, incredible band behind me, as well as a great venue and great partners over there at Middle C Jazz. Every time I'm there, it is a throwdown. Okay.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
I need you guys to come hang out and let's keep the party going.
Amen. Support. We love you, BK. We love what you're doing. And
Right
just
back.
keep doing your thing, my friend. rBeatz, thank you guys for the space. And just much love. Much love. Blessings to all.